In October 2024, famous music critic Anthony Fantano reviewed pop singer Halsey's album, The Great Impersonator. In this 9-minute review, a disappointed Fantano would be harsh on Halsey's album, pretty much calling it poorly executed, laughable, and in his words, Halsey had a case of main character syndrome. He would end up giving the album a score of 1 out of 10, and while Fantano has obviously been critical of albums before, he got a lot of backlash for saying this about Halsey's album. For those who don't know, Halsey's album, The Great Impersonator, featured a lot of deep and harrowing stuff that Halsey was going through while making this album. Halsey in 2022 was diagnosed with lupus and a rare form of cancer, and on this album, there's many times she references the awful and scary things she had gone through. So now you know that, it's understandable that some people might have gotten upset about how Fantano handled his review, specifically saying Halsey had main character syndrome. Fantano never responded to any word of the backlash, but just last night on Twitter, we finally heard Fantano mention the album review, and Halsey herself even had something to say. So, Anthony Fantano a couple days ago just filmed an interview with Olivia Rodrigo, which got a lot of hate online because a lot of Halsey fans stepped in saying Olivia was wrong for giving Fantano a platform. He said Halsey had main character syndrome for having cancer, and naturally, Halsey fans were upset. And soon, an account by the name Not Real Music tweeted out this. I didn't really agree with how Fantano approached some aspects of his Halsey review, but I can't understand how there's still discourse about it all this time later. It's not like it's some great album. How are people still hung up over it? And Anthony Fantano would quote this tweet saying, "If they're more into this review than the album," giggling emoji. Halsey herself would quote this tweet by Fantano saying, "I'm certain my least memorable song will be remembered more fondly and for more time than anything you ever do with your life will be. Everything you say is more whiny and edgy than I was at any point on that album. But at least I had the excuse of going through chemo." And I will say, her publicly responding to this tweet in this fashion does make her sound pretty bitter about the review and score he gave it. She would then make a couple other tweets criticizing him, and he said a few more things to poke the bear, but overall, this was the end of their exchanges for now. People are mostly against Fantano as of now, but I actually don't think Fantano should be getting the hate that he got for this review, and let me explain why. In the review, most of the points he made were criticizing the concept and layout of this album. In The Great Impersonator, Halsey impersonates many great and influential artists of the past. In each song, she'll try to replicate different artists' styles of music. And you might be thinking, why would she do that in the same album where she's talking about the horrible, traumatizing stuff she's been subjected to recently in her life? In the song The End, she's talking about how there's blood in her brain and all these horrible things she's going through, yet she's trying to impersonate Joni Mitchell at the same time. Then in another song, I Never Loved You, Halsey talks about the brutal horrors of going into surgery and worried if the doctors make a mistake and if she won't make it. But at the same time, she's trying to impersonate Kate Bush while telling us this. I'm sorry, but that's a terrible way to convey the traumas that you've been through in your life. It's like that one episode of Dexter where he's wearing that Mickey Mouse hat telling Astor and Cody their mom was murdered. Look, I'm not trying to be insensitive, and I'm glad Halsey's okay now, but I think Halsey made a terrible mistake trying to include some of the serious things she's gone through on an album where she's impersonating other great artists, which, as Fantano said, she didn't do a very good job doing considering some of the names she was trying to impersonate. And even if she did do an amazing job impersonating those artists, you should not be doing that on an album where you talk about something as serious as having cancer. And in Fantano's review, the whole time, he was just clowning how terrible she did at the impersonations. I wouldn't be surprised if Fantano had no clue what she was going through because the impersonations were just that bad. I don't think it's ignorance on Fantano's part. I think it's on Halsey for trying to mix a creative album concept with some of the horrible things she's been through. I will say the main character line by Fantano was a very poor choice of words, but I think he was just referring to how often Halsey refers to herself in this album, not her having cancer. I understand this is a controversial topic and there will be lots of hatred coming my way from this, but I just want to say I think Halsey is very strong and brave to have survived the stuff she's been through. God bless her, and I'm glad she's okay now, but I will stand 10 toes down by saying I think she portrayed her trauma through her art in a very poor way, which made it hard for some people to understand. But what do you guys think? Am I an idiot? Am I right? Is Fantano right? Is he wrong? Thank you guys for watching. God bless and peace.